Oh, all right. Back for another Sabbath class. All praises to Yahweh. And we do so. I'd like to give all honor, praise, and glory to Yahweh. And we'd like to do so in the name of Yahweh Shah. That's the name of the Heavenly Father. And through the Savior, who people ignorantly call Jesus Christ. Right? Back for another Sabbath class. All praises for that. This one doesn't have like a title. I'm finna teach on a feast of dedication. Right? Um, we at that time of year, we in December, where we've been fighting these holidays back to back to back. So you got uh Halloween, they say do it for the kids. Then you got Thanksgiving, they call it family time, and you're supposed to be thankful for something apparently. And then you got Christmas, they say do it for the kids. And apparently everybody in the holiday spirit with all these pagan holidays. But we finna into the feast of dedication. It's the 6th at sundown through the 14th at sundown. You can give gifts or whatever. No Kwanzaa. That's not us. That's not what we do. No Christmas. No, none of that. We doing a feast of dedication. How you say it in Hebrew is Hanukkah or Hanukkah, right? That's the feast of dedication. That's how you say dedication. And then it's not the feast of lights, as the fake Jews call it, right? Because they done and then the crazy part about the Feast of Dedication is um, fake Jews, the Jewish people, they do not believe in the Apocrypha, but yet they celebrate or they don't believe in the New Testament, but they celebrate the Feast of Dedication. Weird, right? Then you got, I think a brother said he was talking to Jehovah's Witness, and they was talking about how they don't accept the Feast of the Dedication. So they took them to John chapter 10, verse 22, when Yahushua was doing it, and they was like, hey, what about this? And they went to the footnotes in the Jehovah Witness Bible, and it referred them back to the book of Maccabees, which they don't believe in. So that's crazy right there, right? That's crazy. But let's get into it. The Feast of Dedication now. This is not a feast that's in Leviticus 23, right? So if you pull up Leviticus 23, you won't find a Feast of Dedication there, right? Just like you won't find Purim there, which ironically you can give gifts during the Purim feast, but you won't find those two high holy day or holy days in the Leviticus 23, but we still do observe them, and we finna get into why now, because this is our heritage, right? And I'm a Christ follower. Christ followed it. I'm following it. So that's how we playing the game. But we finna get into a little deeper because we did the feast of dedication. We finna touch on that, of course, but we finna get into a little prophecy of the temple and the feast of dedication in the Old Testament, right? Um, First, right? Again, the fake Jews done took our holiday. Then it took the menorah, right? It's got 7 candlesticks on it, right? They done took our holy day and bastardized it. And now brothers go out and make a mistake and go by the 9 candlestick. You got 8 on them sometimes and 9 on it. They done bastardized. So give me Psalms chapter 50, verse 16, because that should have never happened in the first place. You know what I'm saying? They shouldn't even be touching our book. And when they do, you get stuff like the Book of Enoch. You get 9 menorahs, candlesticks. You know what I'm saying? And get the ash when they put the ash on the middle of their head, whatever that's called, right? With the risk or whatever. So this is Psalms chapter 50, verse 16. It says, "But unto the wicked," and you can read Malachi chapter 1, verse 4 to find out who the wicked is. "But unto the wicked, God saith, What hast thou to do to declare my statutes? Or that thou shouldest take my covenant in thy mouth?" So why you even got the book? Why you even talking about the Most High statutes in your mouth? Is not for you, right? Because this Bible, contrary to popular belief, this Bible is not for everybody. Every knee gonna bow, but when every knee bow, there's gonna be people that's extinct, right? So let's get that out. Let's get that clear, right? But let's get into it. I'm really I really want to get into this. Daniel, let's go to Daniel chapter 8, verse 3. Right? Daniel chapter 8, verse 3. And hopefully y'all follow me because I'm kind of geeked up about this lesson. This is Daniel chapter 8, verse 3. And when then I lifted up my eyes and saw, and behold, there stood before the river a ram which had two horns, and the two horns were high, but one was higher than the other, and the higher came out last. Right. So we finna get into some breakdowns and prophecies or whatever. But the Most High is giving a prophecy here. And the Most High finna give a prophecy on history here. And he using similitudes, right? He using similitudes and dark sayings. So that's what we finna get into right now, similitudes and dark sayings, because he's finna use these animals to tell you what's finna happen in the history. And Daniel, he don't know, about what he prophesied about. His job was to bring forth the prophecy. He don't know what these horns are. He like these horns are going to be nations of people. He never met these nations of people. These people didn't live when he lived. He was just meant to bring forth the prophecy, right? But let's get the similitudes and dark sayings. Give me Proverbs chapter 1 and verse 3. Then we finna come right back here. We're gonna be doing a lot of jumping around. A lot of jumping around. So this is Proverbs chapter 1, verse 3, right? Because we just read about a ram with two horns and one horn tall, and the other one, both of them tall, but one taller than the other, and the other one, the one that's tall, came out last, right? This is what we just heard, so we need to understand what's going on. It says, this Proverbs chapter 1 and verse 3, it says, to receive the instructions of wisdom, justice, and judgment, and equality, to give subtlety to the simple, and to the young man knowledge and discretion. A wise man will hear and will increase learning, and a man of understanding shall obtain unto wise counsel. To understand a proverb and the interpretation, the word of the wise in their dark sayings. So to understand all this, you know what I'm saying? The Most High speaking in dark sayings, everything ain't plain. So we finna get back into it. Go right back to Daniel chapter 8, verse 3. And we finna break down this ram with the two horns, right? So this ram with the two horns, the ram represents a nation, but the two horns are the Persians and the Medes, right? The Persians and the Medes, these are the two horns that's on, and one nation is bigger than the other, because the Persians actually had a vast army, but like a regular army probably had thousands or hundreds of thousands. The Persian army had millions of people, millions, but they were not like warriors. You dig what I'm saying? They'll make a farmer. He's in the army, and a blacksmith, and he's in the army. And they made regular people in the army, but they had millions of people in that army. So let's read this, right? It says this verse, this is Salakia. This is Daniel chapter 8 and verse 3. And when I lifted up my eyes and saw and beheld, there still before the river a ram which had two horns, and the two horns were high, but one was higher than the other, and the higher came up last. And I saw the ram pushing westward and northward and southward, so that no beast, no other nation, might stand before him. Neither was there any that could deliver out of his hands, but he did according to his will and became great. And we all know after the Babylonian captivity, and we all know after the Babylonian captivity, all right. So we know after the Babylonian captivity, the Persian and Medes took over, and they ruled the whole known world. And that's the ram, right? The ram with the one horn that's bigger than the other. That's the Persian and Mede. And they moved westward, northward, southward, so that no beast might stand before him. Neither was there any that could deliver out of his hand, but he did according to his will, and he became great. And so the Persian and Medes ruling the whole, we were building the temple, but they ruling the whole known earth, right? And they became great. Verse 5, And as I was considering, behold, a he-goat came from west on the face of the whole earth. Well, let's keep reading. And touch not the ground. That's a key point. And touch not the ground. And the goat had a notable horn between his eyes. Right now, this horn stands for rulership. Right, and it says, as I considered, a he goat. Hold on, a he goat came from westward. Right, this he goat is Alexander the Greek or Alexander the Great. Right, and it had one horn. Right, they had a horn between his eyes, right? And it said his feet did not touch the ground. Now, that's weird because goats' feet are like touching the ground is something that they known for. Like a goat can scale any kind of terrain there is. It could be a hill, it can be bumpy. Like goats known for being on the side of mountains and licking salt off the rocks and stuff. Like straight up and down mountain, a goat can scale it. So a goat touching the feet, not touching the ground, it sounds peculiar. But this goat is Alexander the Great, and it said his feet didn't touch the ground because he ruled. He basically got rulership faster than anybody, any other nation ever. Right. So if you look up Alexander the Great, I think he ruled between like 336 BC to like 320 or like 320 BC, and within there like 14, 15 years, he basically had like battles, and he went basically from west to east and conquered everything in that short amount of time. So let me read this one more time. It says, and as I was considering, actually, Punky, goat, it said this goat got a horn on his in between his eyes, right? Go to that Alexander the Great coin on Google. So the first one was a ram, but it had two horns. It was two nations of people, right? You had the Persians and you had the Medes. But the Medes, go to images. It's a couple gonna be like blurry, but it's gonna be like one clear one. Go down. There go it. That's Alexander the Great horn. And he got a horn on it. The Most High got a sense of humor. But Alexander, that's the goat that feet didn't touch the ground. He just conquered so fast, right? His feet didn't touch the ground, right? Go back to Daniel chapter 8, verse, I think it's 5 or 4. 5. And as I was considered, behold, a he-goat came from on the west on the face of the whole earth and touched not the ground. And the he-goat was notable, had a notable horn between his eyes. And he came to the ram. Now the he-goat coming to the ram, right? Who conquered and who beat the Persian and Medes? The Greeks, Alexander the Great, right? And it says, and he came to the ram that had two horns, which I had seen standing before the river, and ran unto him into the fury in the fury of his power. And I saw him come close to the ram, and he was moved with the collier against him, and smote the ram, and break his two horns. And there was no power in the ram to stand before him. So the ram and his two horns, which was the Persian and Medes, right? So Alexander the Great, he was known for his military prowess, right? He had so many battles in a short amount of time, but he didn't have them. Now keep in mind how the Medes, right? You can look at the movie 300 when it was 300 men, and then you seen all the millions of people. Those are the Persians. That's it. So it was a millions of people. But like I said, it was a farmer would be, well, a bunch of the people, and blacksmiths and people with regular jobs. You dig what I'm saying? It wouldn't be gladiators. It wouldn't be warriors. So what Alexander did, he went through the middle of the millions of people. He went to the middle, right? And when he got the archers in the back or whatever, and when he could defeated the middle, he basically the one side was, because when you in a group, right, you see all your people, you feeling good. But when he took out the middle, when the people on one side, all they seen was his army, and the people on one side can't see they other people on the other side, because the people on the other side only see his army and they fled. because he went right down the middle and he broke them up like that. And these weren't warriors; they didn't have no military prowess. So that's how he defeated the Persians, right? But make a long story short, the ram is the Persians and Medes. The goat is Alexander the Great, right? The goat just came to the Persian and Medes and destroyed them. That's in history. While first slavery was Egypt, we came out of Egypt, went to the land with King David. Kingdom split up. Northern Kingdom went to Assyria, then came over here. We went to Babylon. After Babylon, we went to the Persian and Medes, which was the ram. Then after the Persian and Medes, we went to the Greeks, which is the goat, right? So that's what's happening. In verse 7 again, and I saw him come close unto the ram, and he was moved with the collier against him and smote the ram and break his two horns. And there was no power in the ram to stand before him, but he cast him down to the ground and stomped on him, and there was none that delivered the ram out of his hand. So now the Persian and Medes have been destroyed, right? Hold on. Give me boom, 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 boom. Give me now. Alexander the Great is, of course, an Edomite, right? And it said his feet didn't touch the ground. He destroyed these millions of people. Give me Genesis chapter 27, verse 39, because that's Esau's blessing. Esau's blessing is the fat of the earth, but he gonna get it by the sword. So this Genesis 27 and verse 39. And Isaac his father answered and said unto him, Behold, thy dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth, and the do it. Go up one verse. Let me get 38. And Esau said unto his father, Thou hasn't thou but one blessing, my father? Me and even me also, oh my father. Esau lifted up his voice and wept. So Jacob just got the blessing, but the Most High already preordained that. Now Esau crying like I ain't getting nothing, right? This nigga already sold his birthright. But let me. That's not the point. All right, let's get back to it. And Isaac his father answered and said unto him, Behold, thy dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth and of the dew of the heaven from above. So Esau gonna run the earth. He gonna rule the world, right? By the sword shall thou live, but he gonna live and get it by the sword, and that's how he got it, right? Now let's go back to, give me Daniel chapter 8, back to 8, verse, we just read 7. Go back to Daniel 8. Go back to Daniel 8. I'm gonna start at 8, right? Therefore the he goat waxed very great, and when he was strong, the great horn was broken. Now this goat that had the horn is broken because Alexander the Great died while he was young, right? and for it came up 4 notable ones, the 4 winds from the 4 winds of heaven. So after his horn broke, right, because he only ruled for like 14 years. After his horn broke, he had 4 rulers come up after him. Well, it really was 3, and it was supposed to be his son. But the cool Commodore dude killed his son, and he became the 4th. Actually, go to Google, and Google Alexander the Great 4 successors. So the horn was broke. The goat horn was broke. That's him dying. And he had 4 horns come up after him, right? That was his 4 successors. Because the goat is the kingdom. The kingdom ain't dead. Go to all. That shows they kingdom, right? They came from so Ptolemy, Cassander, Seleucus, and Antes, whatever the last dude name is. But the Cassander dude, he the one that killed Alexander the Great's son. But these are the 4 generals that became the 4 horns that is in Daniel. Let's go back to Daniel. So when Alexander the Great died, his 4 commanders came up and ruled after him. Yeah, they had rulerships, like the Ptolemy dude ruled Egypt up in that area. But no, go back to Daniel. So we got the goat, we got the ram with the 2 horns. One was longer than the other, or one was bigger than the other. They got killed by the goat with 1 horn, but the goat horn done broke. And let me read that again. Therefore, the he goat waxed very great, and when he was strong, the great horn was broken. For it came up four notable ones toward the four winds of heaven, and out of one of them came forth a little horn, which waxed exceedingly great. Now we finna got to get into because that little horn. So out of them four generals came one person that was exceedingly great. Exceedingly, what verse I'm at? Exceedingly great towards the south, towards the east, towards the pleasant land. What's the pleasant land? The pleasant land is Jerusalem, right? So now this little horn that came out these four, this little horn is he exceedingly great. So he got the power, and he moving towards the south and towards the east and towards the pleasant land, towards Jerusalem, right? Give me First Maccabees chapter 1. Actually, first it said go back to Daniel chapter 8. I gotta read 9 and 10. It says and towards the pleasant land, right? And it waxed great, even the host of heaven. And it cast down some of the host and the stars upon the ground and stepped upon them. So now they moved towards the Holy Land, and right, and it waxed great even to the host of heaven. So this kingdom, I mean, this kingdom got so great, they was the top nation on earth, right? And cast down some of the host of the stars of the ground. I'm finna prove who the stars are, the host of the stars, the host of the stars in the ground. I'm going to prove that is us, right? Give me Exodus chapter 12 and verse 4, right? Because we the host. And then I'm going to prove them stars or us too in Revelations. Because after the Greeks took over, who did they come for? That's when we became Greeks. That's when we got Hellenized. That's the whole reason for the Feast of Dedication. Right? It all ties in together. This Exodus 12 and 4. And if the household be Exodus 12 and 4. No. Exodus 12 and 41, Salaki. Is Revelations 12 and 4. Exodus 12 and 41. And it came to pass at the end of the 430 year, even the same self day, it came to pass that all the host of the Lord went out of the land of Egypt. We're the host, right? Let me prove that we're the stars now. Go to Revelations 12 and 4. That's the 12 and 4 I needed. Revelations 12 and 4. They was right next to each other. Revelations 12 and 4, right? So I'm proving that the land is Jerusalem and a host are us, right? So, and it said the stars of heaven, right? So check this out. And the tail drew the third part of the stars of heaven and did cast them to the earth. And the dragon stood before the woman, which was ready to be delivered. Okay, so this woman is Israel. She got 12 stars around her head for the 12 tribes of the children of Israel, right? And they was cast down. It says, and the tail drew the third part of the stars of heaven, because 1/3 is supposed to be saved, and did is cast them unto the earth. And the dragon stood before the woman, which was ready to be delivered, right? So the woman ready to be delivered, for to devour the child as soon as it be born. That child is Yahushua, right? Because the Yahushua came out of Israel, right? Verse 5, and she brought forth a man child who shall rule all nations with the rod of iron, and her child was caught up unto God and to his throne. So that's Yahushua. But them stars and that woman, that's us, right? So now let's go. So I'll go back. I want to read Daniel 10, 9 and 10 one more time, and then we're going to go to Maccabees. But we're going to go right back to Daniel at the Maccabees. But I want to show you this ram and goat prophecy. This is about our temple being destroyed and about nations coming against us. Right? So this verse 9. And out of them came forth a little horn which waxed exceedingly great. Let's get that little horn real quick, and I'm going to have to come back and read this. Give me Maccabees chapter 1 and verse. First Maccabees chapter 1 and verse, I'm finna start at 6. All right. There's Maccabees 1 and 6. And therefore he called, go up one couple verses or whatever. Cause we finna, let's might as well, let's start from 1. Cause we finna, one is the goat, right? And it happened after that, Alexander, the son of Philip, the Macedonian, who came out of the land of Chittim. Chittim is what you would call Rome in the New Testament, had smitten Darius, the king of Persia, right? That was the ram, and the Medes, that's the two horns, and he reigned in the stead over first Greece, and made many wars, and won many strongholds, and slew the kings of the earth, and went through the ends of the earth, and took spoils of many nations, inasmuch as the earth was quiet before him, whereupon he was exalted, and his heart was lifted. And he gathered a mighty and strong host, and ruled over the countries, nations, kings, and became tributaries to them. See, that's the goat feet never touching the ground. And after these things, he fell sick and perceived that he should die. Therefore, he called his servants, which were honorable and had been brought up with him from his youth, and parted his kingdom among them, which he yet while he was yet alive. So those the four kingdoms, the four kings, right? So Alexander reigned 12 years and then died. I said 14. He only reigned 12, right? And that's the point about his feet not touching the ground. Then he reigned 12 years and his horn was broken. He gave, and then 4 rose up, right? But then out of the 4, it said one came out of one of them 4 that was exceedingly strong, right? So it says, so Alexander reigned 12 years and then died. And his servants bear rule over everyone in his place, right? And after his death, they all put crowns upon themselves, and did also their sons for them many years, and evils were multiplied on the earth, right? And there came out of them a wicked root, Antiochus, surname Epiphanes. Ain't that what just happened? Said in Daniel, it said, but one little horn came out, right? And he was basically, it said, worse than the other ones, right? But he was stronger than the other ones, right? Let me actually, I'm gonna parrot it. Let me pull it up real quick on this other. Give me 1 second, because I want to stay here for a second. That was damn, and what was it? It says dun, dun, dun. It says, and one of them came forth a little horn which waxed exceedingly great towards the south and towards the east and towards the pleasant land, right? So this dude started moving around and he started coming towards the land, right? And there came out a wicked root until this first Maccabees 1 and 10. And there came out of them a wicked root, surnamed Antiochus, surnamed Epiphanes, son of Antiochus the king. So Antiochus is like the title. Epiphanes is the name after the title. Just like it was many Nebuchadnezzars in Babylon, it was many Antiochus. This is Antiochus Epiphanes the fourth, right? You can actually Google Antiochus Epiphanes the fourth, and it will tell you on Google that he the one that basically spoiled the temple, that would start doing the pig stuff in the temple. Google will tell you that he did that to our temple. This white boy, right? You can look that up. But us getting the temple back is the dedication of the temple. And it's actually symbolic of you, your body being a temple, when you rededicating yourself back to the Most High. But but boom, it says, son of the Antiochus the king, who had been a hostage in Rome, and he had reigned in the 137th year of the kingdom of the Greek. In those days went out Israel wicked men, who persuaded many, saying, let us go and make a covenant with the heathens that are round about us, for since we have departed from them, they have more sorrow. So we have more sorrow. So now you got these Greeks that's coming conquering places, right? We finna read, they finna go into Egypt before they come to us. And by the time they made it to us, you had niggas like this that was already ready to give up, right? Ready to make a deal. It's verse 12. So this device pleased them well, right? Just like now, you got niggas that just going along to get along, just think they won't be persecuted just because they don't, you know what I'm saying? No, you're going to get persecuted anyway, because giving up ain't the answer. It says, so this device pleased them. 13. When certain of the people were so forward therein, they was cooning so hard that they went to the king, and who gave them license to do after the ordinances of the heathens. He gave them a license. He made it law. It became law. And I'm gonna read a verse about that. Sin became law, right? Sin became law. And that's how you get us going off in the New Testament, right? It says, verse 14, whereupon they built a place of exercise at Jerusalem according to the customs of the heathens. They made themselves uncircumcised. And forsook the holy covenant and joined themselves into the heathens and were sold into to do mischief. Now the kingdom was established. So hold on. The kingdoms was established before Antiochus, and he thought to reign over Egypt, right? So boom, check this out. You remember it said in Daniel, it said he waxed exceedingly great. It says this Daniel chapter 8, verse 9. We already read it. I'm just gonna read it without going there. It says, and out of one of them came a little horn, that's Antiochus Epiphanes, which waxed great, exceedingly great, towards the south and towards the east and towards the pleasant land. Now, this is when we finna get to where he went southeast and towards the pleasant land. Check this out. It says, now when the kingdom was established before Antiochus, he thought to reign over Egypt, that he might have dominion of two realms. Therefore, he entered into Egypt with a great multitude. You ain't following. There you go. All praise. So he said it says verse 16 again, it says, now when the kingdom was established before Antiochus, he thought to reign over Egypt, that he might have dominion over two realms. Therefore he entered Egypt with a great multitude, with chariots and elephants and horsemen and a great navy, and made war against Ptolemy, the king of Egypt. You remember Alexander divided his stuff up into four kingdoms. Ptolemy was the one over Egypt. Ptolemy already knew who he was. It says, and he made great war with Ptolemy, the king of Egypt, but Ptolemy was afraid of him and fled, and many were wounded to death. Thus they got the strong cities in the land of Egypt, and he took the spoils thereof. And after that, Antiochus had smitten Egypt. He returned again in the 40 and third year, and went up against Israel and Jerusalem with the great multitude. Go back to Daniel chapter 8 and verse 9. It said after he went to Egypt and got Egypt, he turned his face towards Jerusalem, right? This Daniel chapter 8, verse 9. It says, Daniel chapter 8, verse 9, it says, and out of them, and it says, and out of one of them came forth. So go back up one verse, just solidify what happened, right? So the goat horn broke. Therefore, the goat waxed very great and was strong, and the great horn was broken, for it came up four notable ones towards the four winds of heaven. So those four notable ones was them four people that he split up his kingdom with. And out of one of them came forth a little horn, and out of one of them kings, came a little horn, which was Antiochus Epiphanes, which waxed exceedingly great towards the south and towards the east, right? We just read about going into Egypt and towards the pleasant land. Now we're reading about him in Maccabees going into Jerusalem, right? Verse 10, and it waxed great, even to the host of heaven, that's us, and cast down some of the host of and the stars of to the ground, us, right? And stepped upon them. Yea, he magnified himself even to the prince of the host. He made himself the king of the Israel, right? That's why Herod was king in the New Testament. Yeah, he magnified himself to the prince of the host. By him, the daily sacrifices was taken away, and the place of the sanctuary was cast down, right? All praises. Shabbat Shalom. So where was I? So boom. Antiochus Epiphanes, he invaded Israel, right? Verse 11, and yea, he magnified himself even to the prince of the host. And by him the daily sacrifices was taken away, and the place of the sanctuary was cast down. So now we got the daily sacrifices being taken away from the temple. And a host was given him against the daily sacrifices by reason of transgression. And it cast down the truth to the ground, and practice and prosper, and it and prospered, meaning he prospered in his wickedness. When they took away our sacrifices from the temple in the book of Maccabees, you dig what I'm saying? They started doing this. They started doing the sacrifices in there. Then they started having us doing their holidays, and then they made it law. You dig what I'm saying? And then I heard one saint speaking to, I think, no. And then I heard one saint speaking to another, that the certain saint which spake, how long shall the vision concerning the daily sacrifices? So how long was the sacrifices not going to be in the temple? And he gave both to give both the sanctuary and a host to be trodden underfoot. And he said unto them, 2,300 days, and the sanctuary shall be cleansed. So at the end of the prophecy, the sanctuary shall be cleansed, right? Give me, Salakia, give me First Maccabees chapter 2, verse 1. So we read about him. I actually go back to First Maccabees. I don't think I finished. Did I read through 22? All right, go back. So we got to where the little horn, right? The little horn got exceedingly great. He went to the east, he went to the south, and then he turned his face towards the Holy Land, right? I stopped. Keep going. 17. Boom, 20. That's your cousin Kelly. All praises. I think I was at like 20. Yeah. It says, and after that, Antiochus had smitten Egypt. He had returned again in the 143rd year, and went up against Israel and Jerusalem with a great multitude, and entered proudly into the sanctuary, and took away the golden altar and the candlestick of light and all the vessels thereof, and the table of the showbread and the pouring vessels and the vials and the censers of gold and the veil and the crown and the golden ornaments that were before the temple, all which were pulled off. So they went into our temple and destroyed our temple, right? And they do. You can read about it. You can look up even on Google. You can look up Antiochus Epiphanes. They're gonna tell you what year he lived. They're gonna tell you he known for going into our temple, destroying. Not he didn't destroy the temple till like it fell to the ground, but they made it into a whole house. They made it into a whole house, and then they made it into sacrificing pork on our altar, all that, right? The abominations. That's why it's called the abominations of desolation, right? Now give me First Maccabees chapter 2, verse 1. All right, First Maccabees chapter 2, verse 1. In those days arose Matthias, the son of John, the son of Simeon, the priest of the sons of Jerab, and from Jerusalem, that dwelt in the Midian. And he had 5 sons: Jonan, who's called Claudius, Simeon called Thassi, Judas, which was called Maccabeus, Eleazar called Avarian, and Jonathan, whose surname was Aphelis, right? So he had 5 sons, right? How far am I reading down on this one? First Maccabees, I'm reading to 8. And when he saw the blasphemies that were committed in Judah and Jerusalem, now you got Matthias, right? And you got his 5 sons. They see the temple. They see the white people going to the temple and destroy the temple. Hopefully, I don't offend your cousin. So they seen the Greeks going to the temple and destroy our temple, and they sacked the temple. So now they down, right? They sad, right? And when they saw the blasphemies that were committed against Judah and Jerusalem, he said, woe to me, Therefore, I was born to see the miseries of my people and of the holy city, and to dwell there when it was delivered into the hand of the enemies, and the sanctuary to the hand of strangers. So he's saying basically his worst fear happened before his eyes. He's saying his holy land. He's saying his temple where he worship. He's saying everything go to a strange people, right? And the temples is become as a man without glory. Drop down to verse 12. And behold, our sanctuary, even our beauty and our glory, is a laid waste, and the Gentiles have profaned it. To what and to what to what end therefore shall we live any longer? Then Matthias and his sons rented their clothes and put on sackcloth and mourned very sorely. So they put on sackcloth and they went to mourning because of the temple, right? Um, and in the meanwhile, the king's office, such as compelled the people to revolt, and came to the city of Midian to make them sacrifices. And when many of Israel came to them, Matthias also and his sons together, then answered the king officers and said to Matthias on the wise, Thou art a ruler and an honorable and great man in this city, and the strengthen his sons with his brethren. There now, Slakia. Now, therefore, come thou first and fulfill the king's commandment, like as all the heathens have done. Now, look, you got Matthias and his 5 sons. They mad that the heathen done did what they did to the temple. The king brought them in front of the king. The king said, Hey, you finna get down like the rest of the heathens. That's what the king said. Verse 18. Now for come thou first and fulfill the king's commandment, like as all the heathens have done, yea, the men of Judah also, and such as remain at Jerusalem, so shall thou and thy house be the number of the king's friends, and thou and thy children shall be honored with silver and gold and many rewarded. So he said, Hey, Matthias, you and your sons, y'all strong or whatever, but y'all finna do the same thing everybody else did. But we gonna put you on high. We're gonna give you silver and gold. You're gonna have some bread in your pocket. Everybody gonna know your name, right? And when Matthias answered and spake with a loud voice, though all the nations that are under the king's dominion obey him and fall away, every one from the religion of their fathers, and give consent to this his commandment, yet will I and my sons and my brethren walk in the covenant of our fathers. God forbid that we should forsake the law and the ordinances. So he said, we ain't going. Right? Me and my sons, we just gonna follow the law of the Most High. What verse I end at? 21. We will not hearken into the king's word, or to go from our religion, neither on the right hand or the left. He said, nigga, he basically said, I'm keeping it straight and narrow. You ain't even finna get me to go off even a little bit, right? Now, when he had left speaking these words, there came one of the Jews in the sight of all to sacrifice on the altar which was at Midian. So here come a sellout, a coon, according to the king's commandment. Which things when Matthias saw, he was inflamed with zeal, and reins trembled. Neither could he forbear to show his anger according to judgment. Therefore he ran and slew him upon the altar. Matthias got so mad at this coon that he slew him upon the altar, right? And also the king's commissioner had compelled men to sacrifice and kill at that time the altar he pulled down. So he pulled down the altar they tried to get him to sacrifice upon. It says, thus he zealously for the law of God, like as Phineas did to the Zambri, the son of Shalom, son of Solomon, Solomon. Shalom, the water baby. Shalom. Salom. Well, I got a speech impediment, right? So boom. So these are the Maccabees. If you go back up to the top when it was Judah's Maccabees, that's what the book of Maccabees are written about. And again, a lot of people disregard the Apocrypha, even though the Apocrypha been in the Bible the whole time into the 1700s when we was in slavery, when Martin Luther The head of the Protestants lost a debate and took out the Apocrypha, right? So it was up in there all the way into that point. In 1611, King James Bible, you can get it from Amazon. You can get it from Barnes and Nobles. It has the Apocrypha and it has 80 books. When you get a Bible out of the church, they took out 14 books while we was in slavery. You dig what I'm saying? So, but make a long story short, and you got Yahushua selling. Now, this is the whole kicker to Christianity. You never hear about these holy days in Christianity. You never hear about this book I'm reading out of in Christianity. Yeah, Yahushua, or who people will call Jesus, celebrated this holy day in the Bible. This holy day that's coming up in 4 days is called the Feast of Dedication. Our temple was taken from us by the Greeks, and the Maccabean brothers end up getting the upper hand and getting control through war, and end up getting the temple back in our possession, and we cleansed it and rededicated it back to God, back to the Most High, right? So that's the Feast of Dedication. And we can find in John chapter 10, verse 22, of Christ keeping his feast of dedication. Now, you can't find this in the Old Testament, and you can't find this being established in the New Testament. The only place you can find this is in the Apocrypha, where these 14 books that got taken out in the 1700s while we was in slavery. So that's what I'm teaching on today. Make a long story short, let's keep it moving. Give me Daniel. No. Give me Daniel chapter 10, verse 22. No. That's what a breakdown end on that verse. No, not Daniel chapter 10, verse 22. John chapter 10, verse 22. Let me get John chapter 10, verse 22. Let me get Christ doing this. So this is called the Feast of Dedication. You won't find this like with the Passover or nothing. You won't find this in the book of Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers. You won't find this there. You would only find this in the book of Maccabees, right? This is John chapter 10, verse 22. And it says, and it was at Jerusalem, the Feast of Dedication. The Feast of Dedication you can only find in the book of Maccabees. But through white supremacy Christianity, you will never know what the book of Maccabees is. But this John chapter 10, verse 22. And it was at Jerusalem, the Feast of Dedication, and it was winter. And Jesus walked into the temple that's in Solomon's porch. And Solomon's porch is like on a basically the porch to the temple. But I just wanted to get that out there. Give me Daniel chapter 11, verse 30. And this is the whole us being called Greeks and Romans and Gentiles in the New Testament, because this is how it happened, right? This Daniel 11 and 30, it says, for the ships of Chittim, which is what you would call Rome in the New Testament, and the ships of Chittim shall come against him. Therefore he shall be grieved and return and have indignation against the holy covenant. So shall he do, and he shall even return and have intelligence with them that forsake the holy covenant. And the arm shall stand on his part. I'm gonna get you an iPhone. Yo, that Android will be moving slow. Yo, you need to update that. All right, so boom. Verse 31. And the arm shall stand on his part, and they shall pollute the sanctuary of strength, and shall take away the daily sacrifices. So here we go again. Them coming into the temple, polluting it, and they're taking away the daily sacrifices. So you know the Levites supposed to be in there doing the sacrifices for the nation. Well, when they took over the temple, made it into whatever they made it into, and started doing all the profane things up in there. They went into the holies of holies, right, where only certain people were only able to go, right, one time a year, I think. They was going in there and doing God knows what. So they sacrificed they profaned the temple, right, and took away the daily sacrifices. It says, and they shall place an abomination and make it desolate. And that's the abomination of desolation. Through abominations, it becomes desolate, or it becomes empty, right? or empty void of the Most High Spirit, because the Most High ain't in there when they doing what they doing. And keep in mind, this is at Jerusalem. This is the temple. There's not two of these. It's one temple, right? When we was in that time, in order to celebrate some of the holy days, you had to make a 3, 4, 5 day journey to come back to the land just to go to that temple. And it's the temple where they doing it at, right? So verse 32, and such as do wickedly against the covenant shall be corrupted by flatteries, but the people shall do but the people that do not Salakia, but the people that do know their God shall be strong and do exploits. And the people that do know their God, that's gonna be strong, are the Maccabees. Because you remember Maccabee and First Maccabees 1, you had the Israelites that was already ready. You dig what I'm saying? It said they made them gymnasiums. You go to the word gymnasium. A lot of people don't know this. Gymnasium comes from the Greek. When we became these Greeks, all these people at the Greek fraternity and all that stuff, when they go to college or whatever, there's nothing new under the sun how we just wanted to simulate ourselves into Caucasian culture. So this is our first time in slavery under white people. It's the Greeks, right? So we're in slavery under the Greeks, and we went to the Romans. This is our fourth slavery at this point. So we're enslaved slaves under the Greeks, right? We made ourselves gymnasiums. Let me pull up this verse for us first. Go to the verse. Let me read the verse, and then we're finna go to the etymology of the word. Go to Maccabees chapter 1. What verse is that? Salaki, let me get the verse. Thought I already had it on. Give me it's verse 14. No. Let's say verse 14 through 24. Scroll up. No. It says 14 through 24. Hold on. No, not Daniel 11. First Maccabees chapter 1. I'm wondering what am I looking at? First Maccabees chapter 1. I'm finna teach y'all something. Salaki, that's taking so long. So I just want to teach y'all what a lot of these words come from, right? Start at 14. There go say exercise. Scroll down. 24. It says to 24. It don't say explicitly the word gymnasium. It says so they built them gymnasiums in Jerusalem. Go to verse 14. Okay, I get the matter of fact, I already know where the disconnect is. Go to the blue letter. I'm gonna show you this because it's in a thing. That word for exercise is the Greek word gymnasium, right? That's what the disconnect is. If you read it in a different translation, let me see here. You know what? I don't want to get this sidetracked. That word gymnasium, just go to the word real quick. So in the Greek culture, it's this thing called an apprentice, right? A lot of people don't know the word apprentice goes back to pederasty, meaning like a little boy lover, right? When people had apprentices like Leonardo, when they had apprentices and they had little boys standing there naked for an hour, how they got these sculptures, that was real, right? In the Greek culture, they had gymnasiums where they had prepubescent boys, like 9-year-old boys, 8-year-old boys. They used to work out naked with them in the gymnasiums. If you look up the word gymnasium at the etymology of it, it literally means naked. It don't mean running, cardio, lifting weights. The word literally means naked. That's what I wanted to show y'all. But that's neither here nor there to the lesson. I don't even know I got sidetracked on it. Check this out. Check this out. Go to Second Maccabees, chapter 6 and verse 1. Check this out. And this is all about the Feast of Dedication. So the breakdown from the end, I'm finna basically show how seen how the temple got taken away from us. I'm finna show you how the temple got back. We got the temple back, and then how we rededicated it. But check this out. This Second Maccabees, chapter 6 and verse 1. The Second Maccabees, chapter 6, verse 1. It says, not long after this, the king sent the old man of Athens to compel the Jews to depart from the laws of their fathers and not to live after the laws of God, right? And to pollute also the temple in Jerusalem, right? So the king sent another one of us, right? Sent another brown person, another melanated person, and sent them to us and say, hey, y'all need to stop doing the laws of y'all fathers. Y'all need to stop living by the laws of God, right? Verse 2. And to pollute the temple in Jerusalem, and to call the temple of Jupiter Olympius, and Garzium, and Jupiter defender of strangers, as they desired to that dwelled in a place. So they wanted us to call the temple Jupiter Olympius and all this other stuff, and that the Greek gods that have a sculpture of Zeus in it, right? This is what they believed, and it's this so deep. This, keep in mind, these are black people that's being stripped of their heritage and made to put on other customs. You see this in the New Testament. Go to Acts chapter 14, verse 11. Our people were so gone in the New Testament thing. That's why it'd be like Jewish, Greek, and all this other stuff. You thinking it's talking about another nation of people. No, that's talking about us. That's talking about you calling yourself American and you don't know where you came from. This Acts chapter 14, verse 11. And when the people saw what Paul had done, they lifted up their voices. Now, keep in mind, this Paul trying to teach somebody. It says, when the people saw what Paul had done, they lifted up their voices, saying the speech of Laconia, the gods are come down to us like likeness of men. They call Paul a god. They worshiping these Greek gods so much. They just say Paul is a god, then start talking to us like a man. Verse 12. And they call Barnabas Jupiter and Paul Mercurius, because he was the chief speaker. So our people were so far gone in this Greek culture. When Paul come trying to wake us up, y'all Israelites, you know what I'm saying? Come back to the law, statutes, commandments. Christ done came and died for y'all sins. When he trying to teach them that, they like Olympus, Jupiter, Mercurius. We was far gone. You dig what I'm saying? Go back to Second Maccabees. No. Go back to Second Maccabees, chapter 6, and I'm finna start at 4. Verse 4, for the temple was filled with riot and reveling by the Gentiles, who dallied with harlots, right? Made it into a whorehouse, and had to do with women within the circuit of the holy places. And besides that, brought in things that were not lawful, right? And the altar also was filled with profane things, which the law forbidded. Neither was it lawful for a man to keep the Sabbath days or ancient fasts, or profess himself at all to be Jews. This is when we became Greeks. This is when we became quote unquote Gentiles, because the word Gentile just means people. It just means nations. It doesn't denote like what nation of people you come from. But this is when we became not a people, just a regular person. We weren't the chosen race at this time. We became Greeks. We put on their culture. You dig what I'm saying? That's why this verse is true. Give me Ephesians chapter 2, verse 11. That's why something now we worshiping these other gods, right? We ain't following the laws of God no more, right? That's why this verse becomes true. This Ephesians chapter 2, verse 11. It says, therefore remember that ye being in times past Gentiles in the flesh, who were called uncircumcision, that which was called circumcision in the flesh made by hands. We was Gentiles carried away into dumb idols. What is that verse? What is that verse? Salakia. Salakia. Give me 1 Corinthians 12:2. This will be a better precept. So we Olympius, Mercurius, right? Then it's illegal for you to be an Israelite and call yourself an Israelite and keep a Sabbath day, right? That's where this becomes true. It says, "Know ye know that." 1 Corinthians chapter 12, verse 2. It says, "Know ye that ye were Gentiles carried away into dumb idols, even as you were led." So some of us did it by want, just because they wanted to. Some of us was forced to, but then carried away to them dumb idols, Olympius, Jupiter, Mercurius. That's why this verse is true. You dig what I'm saying? This is how because without this, you don't know how we became these Gentiles in the New Testament. You just think it's talking about all nations, not knowing there's a chunk of the book missing, talking about how they made it illegal for you to be who you was. It was illegal. Go back to Maccabees Maccabees, the first chapter. They was killing us. Drop down to verse first Maccabees chapter 1 and drop down to verse 52. This is what was happening. This is why we don't know who we were. You dig what I'm saying? Just like in slavery was beat out of us, it was killed out of us, right? This first Maccabees chapter 1, verse 52. Then many of the people were gathered unto them, to wit, everyone that forsook the law, and so they committed evils in the land, and drove the Israelites into secret places, even worse wherever, so they could flee from succor. Now the 15th day of the month called Celus, in the 140th year, they set upon the abominations of desolation upon the altar and builded idol altars throughout the cities of Judah on every side, and burnt incense at the door of the houses on the streets. And they went and had rent of Slakia, and when they had rent the pieces of the book of the law, they found and they burnt them with fire. This them burning our scrolls. So they go into our temple, destroy our temple. Then when they find our laws and our scrolls, they burn them. Verse 57, and whosoever was found with any book of the testament, or if any committed into the law, the king's commandment was that they should put them to death. So if you was found, this is why we Gentiles in the New Testament. This is 175 to 200 years before Christ came. This is around 200 BC, right? This Antiochus Epiphanes, Alexander the Great, that's up in this time. That 200 years before Christ, and that's a cut. That's how you know the temple had to be rededicated. What we're reading about right now is the Greeks having control of the temple. Well, we just read in John chapter 10 that Christ walked into the temple. That temple was holy at that time. So in between Alexander time and Christ's time, the temple had to get cleansed. And that's where Maccabees and them come in. You dig what I'm saying? Because the temple was cleansed by the time Christ came on the scene and he was born. You dig what I'm saying? But again, this is why Christ going around and they got to teach these Gentiles that's scattered everywhere, that don't know who they are, because that's us. We don't know who you have. Walk up to a nigga right now, they gonna tell you they're American and they gonna tell you they black and they got brown, but they got brown skin. Ain't no land of black you can catch a plane back to. Ain't no language of black. That's not a nationality. That's a color and a crayon box. We do not know who we are, but we don't know this ain't nothing new. It's documented in the Bible. We just want to have something from a nigga, put it in a book. That's all that's happening, right? So it says, verse 57, and whosoever was found with any book of the testament, or if any committed unto the law, the king's commandment was that they should be put to death. Keep scrolling. Scroll down. I mean, so we was getting put to death, right? Thus 58. Thus did they by their authority unto the Israelites every month, to as many that were found in the city. So they gathered up all that got caught doing the laws in the city, and every month it was a mass slaughter. They put them to death. This is how we and just think, this is 200 years it is going on. So when you get to the New Testament, this is generations and generations later of these people that went through this. These they great grandkids, and if they got forced not to keep the laws, then you know they ain't teach their kids to keep the laws, and their grandkids ain't keep the laws, and their great grandkids ain't keep the laws. And then now they don't know who they is. Then you get to the New Testament, and the apostles and the disciples got to go around and teach these people not only who they are, but then they also got to teach them that Christ came too. But let's keep going. It says now it says, and now the 5 and 20th day of the month they did sacrifice upon the altar, which was upon the altar of God. So they doing their abominations at our temple. Verse 60. At which time accordingly the commandment they put to death certain women who had caused their children to be circumcised. Now you know God laws for your the male boy child to be circumcised on the 8th day. That's in the laws of God. That's why we get circumcised to this day in the hospital. But that's the law of God for us to be circumcised on the 8th day. If an Israelite woman or I don't want to just say melanated, because all Israelites all melanated people are not Israelites, but we are Israelites. But if you were an Israelite woman, which would y'all would be, if you were an Israelite woman and you got your son circumcised, they killed the baby or put it on a keychain or what? Let's see what it say. Verse 60. At that time, at which time, according to the commandment, they put to death certain women that had caused their children to be circumcised, and they hanged the infants about their necks and rifled their houses and slew them which had circumcised them. This is what was happening to us in order for us not to keep God's laws. So when you hear a Gentile and Jew nor Gentile, Jew don't mean all Israelites. Jew is just 3 tribes of Israel. It's still 9 other tribes, or 10, depending on which way you count it. Those are the Gentiles, those 10 other tribes, those are the Gentiles. Or the Jews that went off and they can come back now, those are the Gentiles. Those are the Greeks. Who is just doing this to us and telling us we got to act like them? The Greeks. That's why we Greeks in the New Testament. Now, let me just get to where the temple was rededicated real quick. Actually, I want to get one more verse. Give me first Maccabees chapter 10 and verse 67. Because this one of the Maccabees, Matthias had 5 sons. And this is how we got, so you seen all our people getting killed by Antiochus Epiphanes. You see all this other stuff happening to our people. How did we get back control of the temple? This is how we got back control. This first Maccabees chapter 10, verse 67. It says, furthermore, in the 150th year came Darius, the son of Darius, out of Crete into the land of the fathers. And when it gives you these 50th year, that's that basically tells you because each dynasty ruled for a certain amount of time. And that's the year within the dynasty that they ruled. But let's keep going. It says, therefore, the King Alexander, when King Alexander heard tell, he was right sorry and returned to Antioch. Then Demetrius made Apollonius the governor of Caesarea, his general, who gathered together the great host and camped at Germania, and then sent unto Jerusalem the high priest, saying, Thou shalt lift this thou shalt lift this up thyself against us. Let me start over. Yeah, my bad. Y'all know how the Bible reads sometimes. It says, Thou alone liftest up thyself against us, and I am laughed unto scorn for thy sake, and reproach. And why didst thou vaunt thy power against us in the mountain? Now look, this is a Edomite king. This is a Greco-Roman king, which is a white dude. Got all power. Just think of a Roman general or Trump or somebody, right? And he laughing at this little nigga like, man, like, who you think you is? Like, because he basically, if you read the next verse, he like, you got my people laughing at me because this is one of Judas Maccabee's sons. And when he got down with guerrilla warfare. So, Alexander the Great, he just came upon you with military strategy. Well, this Maccabean son, he did guerrilla warfare. So he was in in a jungle blending in, catching you slipping. And the king like, hey, you making me look bad, but you just like you ain't nobody though. And the dude, look, it's like you think I did something? I ain't did nothing yet. So that's what's going on, right? It says, but so he's this verse 70 is basically him laughing like you ain't nobody. What you think you doing with me? It says, thou alone liftest up thyself against us, and I am laughed to scorn for thy sake. He like, I feel sorry for you and reproached. And why doest thou vaunt thy power against us in the mountains? Now, therefore, if thou truest in thy own strength, come down to us in the plain field, and there let us try the matter together. For with me is the power of the cities. So he's saying, come up out of hiding and come down here in the plains and get with me one on one. But that ain't how this Matthias' son get this Jonathan. That ain't how Jonathan get down. Jonathan with guerrilla warfare blending in, right? He says, ask and learn who I am, and the rest that take part. Where am I going? Jump down to 38. I mean 78. Jump down to 78 so I can get the good part. 78. It says, and Jonathan followed after him to Azurus. There the armies joined battle, and Apollonius had left 1,000 horsemen in ambush. So they on horses. And it's hard to fight them people on horses because you got to fight the horse and the dude that's sitting on high that can just hit you, right? So it says Apollos had left 1,000 horsemen in ambush, and Jonathan knew that there was an ambush behind him, for he had compassed in his host and cast darts at the people from the morning to the evening. So Jonathan basically shooting arrows, got the horses running around all day, all night. Verse 80. But the people stood still as Jonathan had commanded them. So the enemy horses were tired. Verse 82. Then brought Simeon forth, then his Jonathan brother came. Then brought Simeon forth his host and set them against the footmen. And the horses were spent, and they were discomforted by him, and they fled. So he waited till the horses was tired, and then he attacked, right? And the horsemen also, being scattered in the field, fled to Azurus and went into Bethlehem. Went into Bethlehem, their idol's temple, for safety. So now everybody that was on the horses, they dipped into one of they little heathen temples, not our temple, another temple, right? But Jonathan set fire on Azurus and the cities round about it, and took their spoils, and the temple of Dragon, and them that were fled unto it were burned with fire. So he set fire to the temple they ran into. So this is how we end up getting the upper hand and end up getting the temple back, because Matthias and his sons, Judas Maccabees, Jonathan, them, these are the brothers that went against the Greeks and end up getting back control of Jerusalem, cleansing it, and rededicating the temple. So let me get that, and then I can close up this lesson. Hopefully, I want all around the place y'all understand what I'm saying. Give me Second Maccabees. No. Give me give me Second Maccabees, chapter 10, verse 1. Second Maccabees. Second Maccabees chapter 10, verse 1. It says, now Maccabeus and his company, and the Lord guided them and recovered the temple and the city. So after all that fighting, we recovered the temple and the city. Verse 2, but the altar which the heathens had built in the open street also the chapels they pulled down. So they destroyed the heathens little altars and chapels they made. Verse 3, and having cleansed the temple, they made another altar, and striking the stone, they took fire out of them and offered a sacrifice. After 2 years, set forth incense and lights and showbread. So after 2 years, they finally got the temple back, right? Then when that was done, they fell flat down and besought the Lord that they might come no more into such troubles. For if they sinned any more against him, that he himself would chasten them with mercy, that they might not be delivered into the blasphemous and the barbarous nations. So even when we got the temple back, they prayed to God like, the Most High, thank you. You know what I'm saying? But if we sin against you again, can you just punish us? Don't like put us in the hand of them heathen nations. Like, can you just punish but that's what he was praying for. Not saying it happened, because we know that didn't happen. We still went on slave ships after that. Verse 5. Now, upon the same day that the strangers profaned the temple, and on the very same day it was cleansed again, even the 5 and 20th day of the same month, which is Silius. And Silius is basically the 10th month of the year, which we're in, the 10th month. But you would notice the 10th month unless it's by Esau calendar, because just look at the calendar we're on now. December. Can anybody come off mute and tell me what number December means? Deca. Deca means, come off mute. Deca means what? Deca means 10. November is 9. October,
It's
octagon, has
8.
8 sides, means 8, right? But it's not, right? October is the 10th month. November, which is supposed to be the 9th month, is the 11th month. And December, which means 10, Deca, is the 12th month. But if you know about the winter solstice in January and February being the last 2 months added to a year to celebrate the winter solstice, which is New Year's Eve, New Year's, that's a pagan holiday. That's literally like, a lot of stuff people don't know where it come from. Yeah, January and February were the last 2 days added to a year just so you can do New Year's, which is the winter solstice. That's the original name for it and reason for it, right? Because in the middle of the winter is not the New Year. Springtime is the New Year, right? But let's keep reading. That was a sidebar, right? It says, verse 6, and they kept the 8 days with gladness. So they rededicated the temple, they cleansed the temple, rededicated it back to God. And they kept the 8 days with gladness as in the feast of the tabernacles, remembering that not long before they had held the feast of the tabernacles, when as they wandered in the mountains like in the dens like beasts. And ain't that what just happened? Then we just celebrate the Feast of Tabernacles, and it goes clean into the Feast of Dedication. That lets you know we're in the right time frame. Therefore, they bear the branches and fair broads and palms in there, and palms also, and sang psalms unto him that had given them good success in cleansing his place. And they ordained also. Where am I ending this? But basically, that's the Feast of Dedication, right? Let me see if I need another verse. Scroll down. I think that was the verse I needed. Let me read it one more time. I think it's verse 6. I don't know what BRB means. I don't know. I ain't good with the acronyms. It says, and they kept the 8 days with gladness as the feast of the tabernacles. Actually, I think it's another verse I need. Hold on. Salaki. Huh?
It's be right back.
Oh, okay. Oh, y'all know better than me. Right on. Give me verse I think Salaki. I I don't like dead spaces. Hold on. Let me just search for it. Give me first Maccabees. Give me first Maccabees chapter 4, verse 56. I'm gonna end it with that. Oh, no. I got one more verse. No, Yeah, so this first Maccabees chapter 4, verse 56, and it says, and so they kept the dedication of the altar 8 days and offered burnt offerings and gladness and sacrifices of deliverance and praise. So that's the feast of dedication. It's an 8-day feast. It's not in the book of Leviticus, so it's not one of the high holy days. Let's get that. And it says, and also they decked the forefront of the temple with crowns of gold and with shields in the gates in the chambers they renewed, and they hang the doors upon them. Yeah, because not only did they rededicate the temple, they built back up the city because the city had been taken by Antiochus Epiphanes too. You dig what I'm saying? But you remember when it said that they because the whole reason the Most High wants you to sacrifice on the temple so he can smell it. Give me Ephesians 5:2. Give me Ephesians 5:2. So, because a lot of people don't know what the sacrifice is for. You can't sacrifice a pig because after the sacrifice is done, the Levites eat the food. We can't eat no abomination. Then the Most High needs to smell the smell. The Most High don't want to smell no pork. This is Ephesians 5:2. And walk in love. And as Christ also have loved us and have given himself for us, an offering and a sacrifice unto God for a sweet smelling savor. One more time. And walk in love as Christ have given us love. As Christ has loved us and have given himself for us an offering and a sacrifice unto God for a sweet smelling savor. The Most High don't want to smell no pork and a sweet smelling savor, right? Give me Psalms chapter 94, verse 20. In Psalm chapter 94, verse 20, it says, and shall the thrones of iniquity have fellowship with thee, which frame mischief by a law. So, we ain't supposed to have fellowship with unrighteousness, with you know what I'm saying, wickedness, you know what I'm saying? But in that time of the Maccabees, they did make mischief or unrighteousness or sin the law. It was a law to sin, right? You kept the Carnival, which was the Feast of Baracus. It's called Carnival now today. You had people that got killed because they didn't want to celebrate that. Now people do it, and that's just the way it is. But we have to come back to these laws, statutes, commandments. We got to wake up to who we are, and we gotta come back to these laws, statutes, commandments, because that's how we got into this predicament. We made a contract with God. We said we was gonna be his chosen people, and at the end of it, we just wanted to be like everybody else. No, we a special and peculiar people. All the other nations supposed to look at us and be in awe, but now they look at us and they're in awe for the wrong reasons. They like, look at that one. And they got a bunch of stuff. They like, look at that man. They got a bunch of stuff to say about that. We ain't looking at for the wrong reasons. We in astonishment. People look at us in astonishment, but they supposed to be looking at us in awe and looking up to us. Because who invented everything? Who invented the stoplight? Israelite man. Who invented the car? Not Henry Ford. The Patterson brothers. You dig what I'm saying? Who invented GPS? Oh, Israelite one. Even the internet we own was not invented by a white person, or a cell phone was not invented by a white person. We invented everything. The algorithm for two computers to connect was invented by an African man, which he's not an Israelite, but still, what did Esau so-called invent? Nothing. We the salt of the earth. We season everything. You dig what I'm saying? Everything that was created need to be a heater that you're using in the wintertime, created by an Israelite man. An AC unit was created by an Israelite man. We invented everything. You dig what I'm saying? We are the salt of the earth, but we fell from grace. We the fallen angels. We the people that was up here and we fell down here. Now we in the dust. And the Most High trying to rise us back up. But we trying to save everybody else. While we trying to wake up and build our nation back up, we just worried about the white people. They don't need saving from nothing. And you still trying to save them. That's that slave mentality. Oh, we sick, massa? We sick? No, nigga, you sick. And the word nigga is in the Bible. Give me Acts chapter 13, verse 1. Because I said it too many times today. It's finna be night, though. No cap. It's gonna be night in like 45 minutes. Acts chapter 13, verse 1. It says, now there were at the church that was at Antioch. Give me this verse in a blue letter. So I can actually you ain't gonna be able to hear it. It says, now there were at the church you ain't gonna be able to hear it, it don't matter. It says, now there was at the church that was at Antioch certain prophets and teachers as Barnabas and Simeon that was called nigger. Then Lucius of Corinth. But if you click that word, because it's not Niger, even the African country that they try to say Niger, that just got named that like in the 40s or something, right? But this the word nigger, it comes from the Latin word nigger, which means black. Because if you and this a cut to like people that just believe white supremacy, because they try to, you look it up now, it don't say it. If you look up the word nigger, it don't say ignorant no more. It used to say ignorant all while I was a kid. You pick up a Webster dictionary, it said nigger, and it said ignorant. And everybody thought that's what the word nigger meant. Click the word nigger. Go to it. It don't say nigger ignorant no more. See, it say, oh, contemptuous term for a black or dark skinned person. That wasn't used to be that didn't used to be the meaning of that. Now click that. Click Wikipedia, nigga. It's gonna give you the no. Matter of fact, just go to nigger etymology. Go to the top and go to etymology. ETOMOG something like OMOGY. Something like that. Right? Nigger from the Latin word nigger, which means black. It's right there. Nigger just means black, and you got celebrities walking around here talking about don't call me nigger. Because you think it means ignorant. That ain't where every English word comes from another language, from another word, right? And the word nigger comes from the Latin word niger, which means, or nigger, that means black. That's simply a negro. That's what it means. It means black, right? Now go back to the verse, because now we got niger and nigger meaning the same thing, etymology-wise, where the word came from. Now, hold on. Go back. I'm finna prove it real quick. Go back to Google. Delete all that and put Acts 13:1. Just put that. Hopefully the sister still on her. Check this out, sister, if you still are. Hopefully you is. Y'all willing. But check, so Acts 13:1. Just put that. So it said they was called nigger. I say that's a black person. Go down to Bible. Now, here go how this verse was translated in different Bibles. Check this out. Scroll down a little bit. There go it. Second entry. This is the New Living Translation. Among the prophets and teachers at the church of Antioch of Syria were Barnabas, called the black man. It said nigger at first. Now it say called the black man. But they ain't gonna teach you that in Sunday church. They gonna pass around that plate 4-5 times though, and you gonna hoop and holler. You gonna jump around like you got a demon on you, and then you gonna go eat some pork, and somebody, a crackhead, gonna steal a TV. So this is the truth, right? But with that, that's my lesson for today. I want to give all honor, praise, and glory to Yahweh, and I do so in the name of Yahweh Shai. That's the name of the Heavenly Father, and who people ignorantly call Jesus Christ. And with that, Kwam Yasharala.
Kwam Yashala.
That's right. All right. You can hit the thing, and I'm take questions or whatever y'all want to do.